In a world obsessed with flawless reputations and carefully crafted public images, nothing is more explosive than the moment a celebrated icon is unmasked at the height of their glory. The story you're about to read tears open the glittering surface of a woman once praised as a model of resilience, only to reveal the rot she fought desperately to hide. At the center of this unfolding chaos stands Alan, relentless, wounded, and driven by a truth he can no longer bear to keep buried. Charging straight into Leslie's grand celebration to expose the betrayal that has silently drained the lives of countless others. What happens next is a descent into humiliation, rage, and the unraveling of a legacy built on deception, pushing every character into dangerous emotional corners they may never escape. The ceremony hall shimmered with warm golden light, carefully crafted to celebrate triumph, resilience, and the cultivated image of a woman who had mastered the art of appearing untouchable. Leslie stood at the center of it all, surrounded by applause that rose like a tidal wave and crashed proudly around her. She had built her legacy piece by piece, polishing every flaw until only brilliance remained visible. The statue-shaped trophy in her hand symbolized years of calculated self-refinement, a mask so flawless that even she had begun to believe in its perfection. But beneath the surface of the immaculate evening, tension simmered with an almost electric pulse. Every spotlight that illuminated her felt sharper than usual, as if the beams were searching for cracks she had worked tirelessly to conceal. Still, she held her composure, maintaining the graceful poise expected of someone receiving such honor. Her heartbeat was steady, her breathing controlled. She believed she had secured the perfect moment. Until she noticed Alan moving through the back of the hall. At first, his figure blended into the shifting shadows of guests, but gradually, the persistent rhythm of his steps carved through the crowd with a controlled intensity. His presence grew heavier with every pace. Leslie's instinct reacted before her mind could fully comprehend, sending a jolt of irritation and unease crackling through her nerves. She had not anticipated him. She had not calculated for this variable. And variables had the power to dismantle empires. Alan's expression carried a cold resilience, a determination sharpened by the quiet suffering he had endured for far too long. He had watched Leslie bask in admiration built from the ashes of deception, and the weight of truth inside him had grown unbearable. Every step forward served as a declaration of intent, propelled by memories of betrayal and the need for vindication that had festered in him over time. His hands, steady yet tense, held the evidence he knew would rewrite the narrative Leslie had forged around herself. As he reached the edge of the stage's illumination, the atmosphere shifted abruptly. The applause faltered. The air thickened, as though the room sensed the collapse forming silently at its core. Faces turned toward him in slow confusion, unaware they were seconds away from witnessing the unraveling of a carefully orchestrated facade. Leslie's pulse skipped, then sped uncontrollably. She attempted to hold the same proud posture, but her grip tightened around the trophy until her knuckles whitened. Beneath her calm exterior, a storm raged. Her mind raced to assess what Alan knew, what angle he planned to strike from, and what she could do to contain the blow. But the answer arrived too late. Alan's documents emerged like an executioner's blade. The truth he revealed was not fragmented or uncertain, it was precise, devastating, and meticulously documented. Insurance transactions, forged claims, financial misappropriations carefully hidden behind the veneer of charity projects. Years of silent manipulation laid bare in the harshest possible clarity. The crash was immediate. It traveled through the audience like a shockwave. Expressions shifted from admiration to horror, from pride to betrayal. The foundation of the ceremony fractured instantly. Murmurs spread in sharp, jagged patterns. Some viewers recoiled as though physically struck by the revelations, while others stared wide-eyed at Leslie, attempting to reconcile the celebrated figure before them with the corruption now exposed. In that moment, Leslie felt as though the ground beneath her had liquefied. Everything she had built, her reputation, her influence, her curated public identity, began to crumble from the inside out. Her body stiffened in a defensive rigidity, as if resisting the collapse by sheer force of will. The trophy in her hand, once a symbol of triumph, now felt grotesquely heavy, like a burden revealing its true weight for the first time. Inside her mind, a desperate, chaotic battle erupted. She replayed every decision she had ever made to secure her success, the shortcuts she justified, the risks she rationalized, the people she outmaneuvered. She had always believed she was in control, that she could manipulate perception indefinitely. Yet seeing Alan standing firm, exposing what she had buried so deeply, forced her to confront a chilling realization: her empire had always been fragile, held together by lies that needed constant maintenance. Alan watched the chaos unfold through a lens of conflicted emotion. A part of him had believed this moment would bring closure, maybe even justice. Yet as he saw Leslie's expression crack open in raw alarm, something inside him twisted. This was not victory. Not in the way he had imagined it. The truth had power, but wielding it came with consequences he now felt pressing against him like invisible weights. He had acted not out of vengeance alone, but from a sense of responsibility that had grown heavier with every day he remained silent. He could no longer allow deception to flourish unchallenged, not when it had cost so many people more than they realized. And yet, seeing Leslie cornered, her carefully guarded composure breaking apart, he felt the sting of moral ambiguity. Exposing her was necessary, but the brutality of the moment left a bitter taste. The room around them dissolved into disorder. Some guests whispered with sharp disapproval, pushing away from Leslie as though proximity alone implicated them. Others stared at Alan, their expressions torn between gratitude for the truth and discomfort with the violence of its unveiling. Leslie's breathing grew shallow. She felt eyes piercing through her, stripping away every protective layer she had ever wrapped herself in. Her thoughts spiraled in frantic loops, seeking escape routes that no longer existed. Every instinct demanded she salvage something, anything, but the reality surrounding her offered no foothold. The persona she had crafted with such precision buckled under the weight of exposure. Yet beneath her fear, a burning spark ignited. Anger. Not at herself, not at the consequences she knew she had invited, but at the humiliation of being unmasked so publicly. She felt violated, cornered, trapped beneath the judgment of people who once applauded her without question. That fury curled around her shame, transforming into something darker and more defiant. Alan sensed the shift within her even before she fully recognized it. He watched as her posture changed, the trembling fear hardening into resentment. The air between them crackled with an escalating tension, a silent battlefield formed from years of unspoken conflict. He knew this confrontation would leave permanent scars on both of their lives, but backing down was no longer an option. The truth had already taken root, and nothing could reverse it. As Leslie stood alone on the stage, the weight of her downfall pressing in from all sides, she fought to steady her thoughts. The collapse had begun, but she refused to surrender completely. Her mind churned through possibilities, steps she could take to regain control, strategies to manipulate public perception, even if only partially. She had survived difficulties before, though none as catastrophic as this. But every survival instinct in her screamed to resist, to rebuild from whatever broken fragments remained. Meanwhile, Alan felt an unexpected heaviness settling within his chest. The initial surge of resolve gave way to a complex blend of relief, sorrow, and apprehension. Exposing the truth had been necessary, but the emotional aftermath hit him harder than he had imagined. He had forced the world to see Leslie's hidden corruption, but in doing so, he had dismantled a part of himself as well, the part that once believed justice would feel cleaner, purer, less tangled with regret. Around them, the ceremony disintegrated completely. Guests moved in disorganized clusters, their once celebratory chatter devolving into uneasy murmurs filled with accusation and disbelief. The event staff scrambled to manage the mounting tension, but the damage was beyond repair. The hall that had moments ago radiated triumph now felt suffocating, charged with the energy of betrayal and shattered illusions. In the center of that storm, Leslie and Alan stood locked in an invisible conflict neither could escape. Leslie's collapsing facade revealed a deeper truth. She was not simply a cold manipulator but a person shaped by fear of insignificance, driven to desperate measures to protect herself from an inner void she never wanted others to see. Alan, driven by his own internal wounds, had confronted her not only to expose wrongdoing but to prove to himself that he could rise above the shadows she had cast over him and others. The forces that compelled them. Fear, pride, resentment, longing for validation, collided like tectonic plates beneath the surface, creating a rupture that spread far beyond the ceremony walls. Neither could move forward without confronting the emotional wreckage left behind. And as the lights above flickered uncertainly, casting fractured beams across the ruined event, the three looming truths became impossible to deny.